Hello there, kings and queens. Welcome back to another episode of Faith Helps Podcast. And as you already know, I'm your host, Diamond Booth. And if this is your first time here, by some chance you haven't heard of me yet, because where have you been? Welcome. You are in for a treat. You are here to grow. You are here to be inspired, encouraged, and challenged to become the better and best version of yourself and the version of yourself that God created you to be. And if you've been rocking with me for a minute, what's up? You know it's all love. Thank you for sticking through. Thank you for sticking with me through the ups and the downs and the changes and the challenges and the audio only to the video only to the audio and video to all of the things as I'm just in my season of growing and learning and becoming. And speaking of seasons, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about with you guys today is being sensitive to the season that you're in. So yes, we're in summer, depending on where you are in the world. And it's beautiful out. The sun is shining. The clouds are beautiful. It's hot. um, and probably sweltering again, depending on where you are in the world. And it's also a time to kind of just have fun. People are going on vacation, people are enjoying themselves. It's a lot of things. The season of summer brings a lot. And it's not just about the season when it comes to like the weather that we have. When I say season, I'm also talking about what season are you in mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in your relationships? What season are you in interpersonally and for you as a person and your development? Where are you in your development and growth? For me, y'all, I am coming down to the home stretch, as some of you know, to finishing up my doctorate degree. So excited. The dissertation is on its way out of my life. I initially loved it, now I loathe it, but here we are. I'm in this season of transition and adjustment, but also a season of kind of just recognizing the things that God has blessed me in, but also just kind of reflecting on all the things that He has done. And earlier this year, January the 1st to be exact, I posted the very first episode of this podcast when I finally decided to shift it from just this occasional write with me sessions and random videos that I was doing on YouTube and on my Instagram page. And I decided to be more serious and actually create it into a podcast and have not missed not one episode since starting this, which I'm pretty proud of myself for because it's hard. Consistency can be hard because it requires energy, it requires time, and in the beginning stages, you don't always have a team cheering you on. Sometimes it's you cheering you on. Sometimes it's you telling yourself to keep going. Sometimes it's you challenging yourself to remember your why. And I found myself having to do that a lot. But nevertheless, at the beginning of this year, in the very first episode, I named this season of this podcast, season one, I named it Emerge. And in those first two episodes, I explained that the reason I named it Emerge is because I went on this kind of like solo retreat for just me and God to have some some real talk because we were both tripping in our intimate relationship. And I was like, Lord, what's up though? Because I don't like the way these things are looking. Anyway, that's just my relationship with him. You do you though. Anyway, I on that time and in that season as I was like praying and kind of going deeper into my spiritual experiences and relationship with God, and being very honest with myself about some things that I needed to change, not just from a spiritual standpoint, but even from just a personal standpoint and the type of person that I wanted to be, the type of clinician I wanted to be, the type of daughter and friend that I wanted to be. And so one of the things that came to me that I felt like God gave me was these three set of words for the next 3 years of my life. And with starting with this year of 2024. And the word for 2024 was emerge. And so, as I've been taking time to reflect on the season that I'm in and how that word has shaped out to come into fruition for me this year, it's been a humbling experience, but it's also been a beautiful experience. And it has felt like me really emerging into myself. I've seen myself emerge in different ways. And so, before I get into all that, one of the things I really want to touch on is the importance of making time to reflect. And I feel like sometimes we really don't take time to reflect on not just your day, but where are you in your life? Where are you with your goals? Where are you with your intentions? Where are you with your aspirations and your dreams? Like, where identify yourself. I think about when God asked Adam, "Where are you? Adam, where are you?" It wasn't a question for Adam to say, "Hey, here I am behind the bushes." God already knew that. It was for him to identify himself. It was for Adam to recognize, like, where am I in my life right now? What am I doing? Am I in alignment or am I out of alignment with who I'm called to be, the royalty that I'm supposed to be walking in, the identity in Christ that I'm supposed to be reflecting? Am I in that? And that's what that question meant for Adam. That's what that question means for you when I'm asking it. Where are you in this season of your life? Are you taking time to really assess? Maybe there are some areas of your life that you've been neglecting. Maybe you've been pouring all of yourself into being a mother and a parent, but have been neglecting your role and your identity as a wife and in your marriage. Is there imbalance in those two parts of your life? Maybe you've been pouring all of your time, energy, attention, focus, blood, sweat, and tears into your career and being this boss man and flourishing and being financially stable and all of these things, which are good. But on the other hand, you've been neglecting your physical health and you aren't going to the doctor and making sure everything's straight, because health can sneak up on you out of nowhere. I've seen it happen time and time again in my own life as well as in the life of people I love and care about. It can come out of nowhere. And in many of those cases, it could have been avoided had that person been on top of their health or found more balance to not just pour all of themselves into their career and into their families, and then neglecting their physical health, but they found balance. They found a way to attend to all parts of them in the season that they are in and trying to become the better version of themselves, not for other people, but for themselves. You have to be better and want to be better and want to be the best and healthiest version of yourself for you, because you can't pour into anyone else's life. You can't be the husband you want to be or the wife you want to be or the best friend that you want to be or the therapist or the nurse or the doctor that you want to be or the lawyer you want to be if you aren't pouring back into yourself, and if you aren't taking time to really assess, where are you right now? Where are you in your life? What are maybe some needs that aren't being met? What are some dreams that you've given up on that need you to circle the block and come back to them? Slow down for a second. I'm even acknowledging I've been talking a mile a minute. Sometimes we just gotta slow down and really think about these questions. And so, for me, as I took a moment to slow down over this past weekend and really reflect on, where am I? How have I seen, and like, not just how have I seen my life shape out over these past 6 months, but what are some things and aspects of my life that line up with this word that I feel like God placed in my heart, emerge. And as I was doing that reflection, for me, it looks like I'm sitting in front of a window as I am now, and just thinking, or sometimes it looks like me journaling. That doesn't mean it has to look the same way for you. However, you spend your time reflecting and, kind of processing yourself, you do that. Maybe for you, it looks like going to the gym by yourself. Maybe it looks like going on a hiking trip, or maybe you need to go out of state and get out of your environment. Maybe you need a physical shift. Whatever it is for you, do that. But make sure you're doing it because it's necessary. When I did it over this weekend, I really just like sat back and thought about like emerge. And where am I now? Diamond, where are you now in that process of emerging? The first thing that came to my mind is a transparent moment. Something that I used to always struggle with in life up until last year has been using my voice, more specifically in being able to say no. And this is something that I preach to my clients, and yet I I struggled with it myself. But being able to say no, being able to set boundaries, and being able to prioritize myself without feeling the guilt about it, right? And so, those of you who are in therapy and your therapist is encouraging you to do something, they're likely encouraging you and harping on it so much because they want better for you than they've been able to unlock for themselves. So sometimes I go hard with encouraging and empowering my clients and supporting them and backing them up and setting the limits and setting the boundaries that they want to set because I want better for them. And I know that they can only access that to the extent that they actually want it themselves, right? We can't make people want certain things. But anyway, I digress. For myself, I realized like I really want to get to a point where I can tell someone, no, I want to think about that for some time before I give you an answer. And if they have a tantrum, if they get upset about it, cool. I really wanted prior to this year, something that I really wanted to see change in myself is me being able to assert my boundaries and assert what I am and am not comfortable with, and having tough conversations. I historically was the type of person who swept things under the rug and let things slide, or I beat around the bush instead of directly saying something, or I kept giving people chance after chance after chance, even though they showing me that their behavior isn't going to change. And in the long run, I just kept setting myself up for disappointment. It wasn't their fault. I was doing it. You showed me that you was XYZ, and I kept trying to make you ZYX. And so I had to learn, like, okay, Diamond, what is it in me that I need to confront, that I need to work on and practice in order to accomplish this goal that I have for myself, and becoming this version of myself that I know would be a better and more effective and more successful version of me, but also a healthier version of me. And what would that look like? And I will say, like, some people, a lot of the people at my job over this last year, um, kept, it was this joke that I'm the lightning rod at the counseling center. And what that joke referred to was that a lot of the times, the most bizarre cases just kept landing in my lap. And all of these cases involved some form of confrontation that was necessary, like ethically necessary, and also just like for the wellness of both parties, it was necessary. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hate confrontational conversations. It wasn't very comfortable for me. I hated it. I loathed it. um, And I didn't even realize it, but over this year, the those cases just kept coming up. And I don't know even when the change happened, but I think because of repeated exposure and because of repeated practice, I eventually was able to develop this comfort and was desensitized to the tension and anxiety I was feeling about having these tough conversations and setting firm boundaries or telling people no, or setting a limit or being honest with people about what I'm thinking and so on and so forth, or where my boundaries are. And I don't know when it shifted, but it just like happened that I was just comfortable with it and I didn't think about it as much. Like, of course, it isn't completely um, resolved or like removed. It's something I'm still learning through. But it was an opportunity for me to start learning a little bit more about, okay, in order for me to grow in some of the areas of my life that I'm seeing, it's going to require some discomfort. And if you think about it from therapy aspects, if you have ever been in or heard of like exposure therapy, part of exposure therapy is repeated exposure to a stimuli that causes distress. So, for example, if you're afraid of spiders, um, the therapist would gradually and over time repeatedly expose you to spiders or whatever your fear is that is causing this reaction. For me, it was confrontation and um, not just confrontation, but also like this anxiety and stress, internal stress I was feeling about disappointing somebody, even if the alternative was gonna cost me more than I was willing to pay, right? And so I had to kind of like ask myself, one, what is gonna change if I don't? Because other people aren't gonna change, and the environment can change, but it doesn't mean that problem is going to go away. It'll be a new environment with new people, but the same problem. And so I really had to be honest with myself and say, okay, not only honest with myself, there was also a point where I had to reach a threshold of tension. And this is something that we do in therapy. Part of therapy is increasing the client's awareness, but also increasing the tension that they feel with whatever the problem or concern is that they're coming in, wherever their presenting concern is. Sometimes people don't evoke change or they don't start making the action steps to whatever it is that they want for themselves on the opposite end of it until the tension has arisen to a point where they can't handle it anymore, or until their awareness has reached a point where they're like, this is what's happening, this is why I'm doing this, oh, let's fix this now, right? And so for me, it was awareness and being honest with myself. But it was also this point of tension where I was just like, I remember it was this one day I was in my kitchen, and there was a particular point of conflict I was experiencing with a person in my life that was really just wearing me out mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and to an extent physically, because it was even impacting how I would go about the rest of my day or like skip a workout because they threw off my whole mindset. And I had to take them on and say, Diamond, how many times are you going to do this? How many times are you going to repeat this pattern? And it doesn't matter. Sometimes we think because of someone has a certain position in your life or they're an authority figure, we feel like we have to submit to what they are saying, or what they are asserting, and you don't. Yes, there are circumstances that can make it more difficult, but it's not impossible. That's a conversation for another day. I'm acknowledging it, but we're not going to go down that road for right now. The important point is that, one, recognizing that at the end of the day, it's you with you. You are stuck with you. You are stuck with the consequences, risk, benefits, or advantages of your decisions. You are stuck with that at the end of the day. Do you like what you see on the other end of your decision? On the other end of your decision to say yes or no, do you like what you see? On the other end of your decision to accept that phone call or decline it, do you like what you see? On the other end of your decision to uh, go ahead and agree to working the extra shift, do you like what you see? And are you willing to pay that cost, or reap those, or are those benefits worth reaping, right? I think these are important questions for us to ask ourselves when we are thinking about our growth and our self reflection and where we are in our journey. And these are the same questions that were coming up for me as I was thinking about this year thus far being my year to emerge. So, seeing myself emerge in a more confident person, which has largely, I would love to say it, I would attribute that to my supervisors, because they haven't just helped me build up my confidence as a clinician, they've also helped me build up my confidence as a person and as a young adult. Um, and having the right healthy set of friends who bolster that or pour into that as well. And so that was one thing that had to click for me. um, I think another thing that came up for me that I saw emerge within myself, aside from the confidence, aside from being able to be more assertive and more comfortable with having the difficult conversations and saying no or declining the call without feeling uh, guilty or shameful, or saying, yeah, after 8 o'clock, no, I'm not responding to certain calls and messages because I clock out. And I'm tempted to turn it to 7 o'clock. We'll see. But in all, those are two of the biggest things. The other thing that I really saw myself emerging in is my relationship with God and being more comfortable talking about it. In my career field and in my environment, the whole reason why I started this podcast, the whole reason why I called this podcast Faith Helps, and the logo that goes with it is a therapist chair and a cross, because my entire experience in mental health, I've nonstop heard this battle and this friction between religion and psychology, and I hated it because I kept feeling like people wanted me to choose one or the other. And I speak way, way more about this in that first episode that I did on this podcast. But I also have seen over this year me emerging and saying, yeah, no, what's up? Let's talk about it. Without hesitation, without any apologies, because I can respect you with your different beliefs and perspective, and I demand respect as well, mutually, for my different perspective and beliefs. And being able to have those conversations in this environment has been one, healing and restorative and corrective. Um, but also this year showed me that sometimes people are not going to like what you're going to say, and you are still going to eat spaghetti at the end of the day. I knew that just threw some people off for a loop. Like, wait, what? Let me explain. I had a supervisor who always said that you're going to have some clients that are going to be really upset with you. You're going to have some colleagues that get really angry with you, or try to shame you and guilt you. All you have to remember is that when you clock out at 5 p.m. and you go home, you're still going to eat your spaghetti dinner. And it made me laugh, but it was true. And as I started thinking about it more and more, as a professional person, as a personal person, people are gonna get um, personal person in my personal life. Um, People are gonna get upset about when you set boundaries, when you tell them no. Sometimes it's not even boundaries. Sometimes it's just you choosing yourself, and that sometimes I feel like gets a bad rap of, oh, you're doing something wrong. No, it's okay, and it is healthy sometimes for you to choose yourself. There is a difference when you're trying to say someone's being selfish. Not every time when someone tells you no, they don't want to do something, or no, they don't want to give you something, isn't because they're being selfish. Sometimes, number one, you don't know all the things that's going on in their life that they have to attend to. You're making assumptions. But also, they need to take care of themselves, and they deserve to take care of themselves and spoil themselves and love on themselves just as much as they do for other people. And so sometimes people on the receiving end take it as as an offense, or they take it personally, and it's not anything personal. Sometimes I don't want to give you the $100 because I want to get my nails done this weekend, and I haven't gotten them done in a couple weeks, and this weekend I want to get them done. And if you feel so moved, because God does work like this as well, being able to recognize the ands. Sometimes we want to put a button in and everything, but God tells you to be selfless. Yes, He does. And He tells you to take care of yourself and take care of your body. Your body is a temple. Part of taking care of your body as a temple is making sure it's on point. Okay? Not just on the physical and the things that make you feel good and look good, but also on the internals, so like what you eat. So, what you're taking in and how much of it you're taking in. Not everything just because you're like eating fast food is bad, but fast food every day, that's not you taking care of your temple. Anyway, um, I went on a tangent, but I come back to the point that you have to get comfortable with realizing that some people are going to get upset, some people are going to be mad, some people are even going to try and guilt you and shame you into what they want, or for a decision that you are or are not making, or something that you are or are not doing. And you have to just ask yourself, what am I going to eat for dinner tonight? Is it going to be spaghetti? Am I going to get salmon? Do I want asparagus? Ask yourself that, because it reminds you that this is a moment, this moment of tension and discomfort and dis-ease you're feeling. It's a moment. It is not forever. And part of how long it lasts depends on, guess who? You. Depends on you. You are in control over how long you allow yourself to be stressed and strained over it, or how long you allow yourself to hold the responsibility for someone being upset because you decided to choose you for once in your life, or because you said no to something that makes you uncomfortable with, or something that makes costs you more than you're willing to give. It is okay to hold, for you to hold on to yourself and release the guilt and the shame and the burden that someone's trying to place on you, to feel bad for the boundary that you set, or prioritizing yourself, or taking time to just attend to yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, personally, and professionally, right? And so as I was reflecting over all this, I was thinking about this word, emerge, and I actually am thinking about the image that I made. And I think I posted this on my Instagram in January when I first made it. It was either January or February when I made this. But it was the 3 words that I felt like God gave me for these next 3 years of my life. And at this halfway point in the year, I am remembering this word emerge because it was the first one. And I felt like it was particularly relevant for the year of 2024. And so as I was thinking about emerging, I also not only reflected on the areas of my life I feel like I'm starting to emerge, and the things that, something else that just came in mind as I'm thinking, continuing to think about ways that I've been embracing this word and living it out, because the mind is so powerful, is my confidence in being able to reach out to people and say, hey, can you be on the podcast? Or, hey, I love to, the amount of emails that I've sent, because you guys don't see the other side of the growth. You guys see when I do get people on the podcast. What you don't see is how many emails I sent and didn't get a response, or got a no, or whatever type of response, or a later and then later never came. So you don't get to see that, but I had to learn to not get discouraged by that and to keep trying and to, okay, this door got closed. What about this window? Okay, this window has a screen door. Can I bust that screen door open? Yes, I can. Find a way to make those steps, those action steps towards the goals that you're setting for yourself and that you want for yourself. And so I reflected on that, but I also started reflecting on what else and in what other ways can I start emerging for the remainder of this 2024 year and go out with a bang, like a good bang. um, and then also like looking forward to the upcoming years, like living in the present and being able to hold the excitement for the future. And so I felt like 2025 was show up and 2026 is thrive. And I've already started to create things in my life to start nurturing those ideas and that mindset. Sometimes you would be so surprised if you just shift how you're thinking, even when your environment looks nothing like what you're dreaming of. You have to change your vision, you have to change your mind and start visualizing those things for yourself. And you'll find that you'll start functioning and changing your behavior in a way that will allow those things to come into fruition for yourself. Remembering, God tells us faith without works is dead. So you can have faith, you can have the vision, you can write it down, you can make it visible, you can have it as a sign everywhere in your life. But are you doing the work to make it happen and bring it into reality? I had to do the work this year to bring it into reality by having the tough conversations. I could have easily said, no, can someone else handle this client, or can someone else handle this situation? But I challenged myself to sit in the discomfort time and time and multiple times again, till now I'm at the point where it doesn't faze me as much. So my hope for you guys going into this last stretch of the 2024 year is to finish strong in whatever you're pursuing and wanting for yourself. And don't give up on it. Baby, do not give up on it. Push through. Stay consistent. Challenge yourself. Don't choose the easy road. Don't choose the easy way out. Push yourself to actually strive towards things. Strive and stride. Look those words up and you'll understand what I mean about it. Towards the things that you want for yourself. And if nothing else, remember, a little faith helps. Peace out, loves.